What up, y'all? So the diddler has been hit with a superseding indictment. What this means is his original indictment has either added additional charges or different wording. So right now there has been no additional charges added, but there has been some wording added and changed to the indictment. In this video, we'll talk about the superseding indictment, why this case is actually very small, and also how the feds may have gotten their hand caught in the cookie jar. All right, let's get into the updates of this superseding indictment. We've had a few minor changes, 7 to be exact, and I'll break them down for you. The first thing that changed was in Section 3, they added in the words with combs and at times with combs and male commercial workers. So the with combs part wasn't in there before. It really was just focused on victim 1, aka Cassie, with the male blank workers. So the with combs part was added in. So my theory on that is we're later going to find out that there's 3 victims in this indictment, and maybe the other 2 didn't necessarily do things with the male workers. Maybe Cassie was the only one. So I think that's why they added in the with combs and at times with combs and male workers. So we'll see how that pans out when trial comes up. Next up, in Section 4, they added in that Diddy paid the hotel security $100,000 for the Cassie video. Now, in Cassie's lawsuit, she said she thought it was only $50,000. So the feds coming up with $100,000 tells me they either got into his bank accounts and saw the transaction, or somebody on his team is snitching and told the amount that was paid, or whoever it was that he paid at the hotel could have told them this information. All right, next up, Section 5. It pretty much states that Diddy used some of his employees to cover up his acts of violence. The terms acts of violence was not present before, so that's something that was recently added in. All right, next up, Section 6 says that Combs' enterprise's scope has expanded. So in the previous indictment, they said everything took place from 2008 to 2024. The updated indictment is going all the way back to 2004. Now, this is interesting because he didn't start dating Cassie until 2007. So now that they're going way back to 2004, I'm interested to see who or what that's pertaining to. Anybody who knows Diddy knows he's been doing these wild things since like the 80s and 90s. But for the feds to zero in on a start date of 2004, that's intriguing. That's new. All right, next up, Section 12. There has officially been more victims added. Now, if you tuned into this case a few weeks ago, Diddy's lawyers were saying, oh, there's only one victim and it's his longtime girlfriend. How's this case based around one victim? Well, the feds was like, we actually have 3. Now, this is a new information. It was not in the original indictment. However, when he tried to get bail, that's when we found out there were multiple victims because the prosecutor was like, yo, we can't let him out. There's multiple victims. He's calling them. Also, he's paying one of their rents. We found out that he's pretty much essentially been taking care of her up until September before he got arrested. So they pretty much was kind of insinuating that he was paying one of these victims to stay silent. So yeah, in this section here, it officially includes more victims. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these victims is Gina or Daphne Joy, which is 50 Cent's baby mama. Or in the new Diddy documentary, Kim Passion is one of his ex-girlfriends that's been speaking on some of his past behavior as well. Now, Diddy's team response to all these new victims being added is like, yo, these are all his ex-girlfriends. Those are not people who were trafficked or who was used for all these weird things. These are his ex-women. Problem is, these young ladies are going to get on the stand and talk about all the times where they didn't want to partake or that they didn't want to be with male workers. And that's where things get iffy. It just doesn't look good for Diddy that there's multiple women with possible similar stories. Yo, this is really sounding like R. Kelly 2.0. In Section 13, there has been accusations of kidnapping in New York. So in the original indictment, he already had accusations of kidnapping in California. Now they've added New York into the fold, which means one of these new victims may have reported that he tried to kidnap them or prevent them from leaving from somewhere. And finally, the last update was about the party favors. So Section 12H is pretty much about the things that Diddy likes to party with to make him feel alive. So they recently added in mushrooms as well as drugs. There was already a crazy mix of party favors in this paperwork, as you can see here, but now they just added a few more in. So yikes, Diddy, man, yo. All right, next topic. I've always said that this case is not as big as people think it's gonna be. This case is on Cassie's shoulders. Y'all are not about to see all these famous people in these tapes. I've said that from jump. The feds don't work that way. This case is very small, concise, and straight to the point. It's not too elaborate at all. People really thought that Diddy and all his celebrity male friends was just wilding out together. It was never gonna be that. This was always R. Kelly and Epstein 2.0. They're going after Diddy's inner circle, maids, assistants, bodyguards, drivers. Those are the people who make up this enterprise. They're his day-to-day. It's not Jay-Z or LeBron or all these crazy theories that people were throwing out, because how the feds work, they want a slammed up case. If these celebrities are not involved with Diddy on a daily basis doing these daily activities, they don't really care. They don't care. They don't want to get involved in that. They want the people who's picking up the male worker participants from the airport. They want the assistants who's running around to get the baby oil. They want to holler at the cook who's making the meals, because those are the people involved with the actual enterprise making this thing work on a day-to-day basis. So when this enterprise list drops, you're going to have staff, KK, yeah, she's probably going to be on that. She's going to either be a co-defendant or a witness. You're going to have bodyguards, assistants. The feds have talked to all these people and told them, you better tell us everything that you know, you better snitch, or you're going to be facing life in prison just like Diddy. And guess what? These people have been talking. Yep. The staff has met with the feds and they have been talking. So I say that to say this is a very small case, guys. This is not some big elaborate takedown of government officials and politicians and athletes and actors. Very small, very concise. All right, the final topic is the feds may have gotten their hands caught in the cookie jar. And I'm so interested to see how the judge responds. So this notebook drama has been going on for a few months. Long story short, there was a raid in the jail. They were supposed to be looking for contraband. And one of the investigators at the prison found one of Diddy's notebooks. And in the notebooks, he had written down about how he had paid off a potential witness and other things to possibly obstruct justice. This investigator got on the phone, told the feds, and the feds was like, hey, judge, this is why he can't get bail. Diddy's lawyers was like, hey, y'all should have never looked through the notebook. Anyway, that's private. He had legal strategy written down in that notebook. Y'all are violating his rights to a fair trial and attorney-client privilege. So his lawyers were pretty pissed about all that, and they wanted to know who was investigator one, who told him to look into Diddy's notebooks, and were the feds involved in making this guy target Diddy. Y'all can check out my video about the notebook on my page. I'll throw the link up here somewhere. But when it was all said and done, the feds was like, listen, that investigator works for the jail. We didn't tell him to target Diddy, yada, yada, yada. But if it makes y'all feel better, we won't use any evidence that the investigator found in that notebook. We'll just back off. Now, that's surprising to me. When do the feds just wave the white flag? Are they realizing that maybe this investigator went too far? Did Diddy's rights get violated? Have the feds opened themselves up to possibly dismissing of this case? Because Diddy's lawyers feel like, look, y'all are playing too dirty. Now y'all possibly know our whole defense strategy because y'all looked through this man's notebook. Now, the feds are saying, listen. That notebook did not have the word legal on it, so technically it's fair game. Nobody did anything wrong. But to make y'all happy, we'll back off. We won't use any of the evidence in that notebook. So to me, it sounds like the feds feel like something got a little too messy there, and now they're moonwalking away from the notebook. Or, hey, they may feel like we got enough evidence with all these victims and witnesses. We don't really need the notebook info. So I'm interested to see what the judge has to say about this whole notebook debacle. And I'm interested to see if Diddy's team tries to get this case dismissed or possibly get the whole prosecution team thrown off of the case and they just start all the way over with a new set of prosecutors. Shoot, I guess we shall see. So, how do y'all feel about the superseding indictment and some of the new accusations added? Do y'all feel like this case is still gonna expose celebrities and politicians? And How do you feel about the notebook scandal? Do you think Diddy's rights were violated? Leave your comments below. Thanks for hanging out with me. Peace.